Welcome to the back nine of the 2020 KC Wide Open. We're on hole 10, par 3, 309 foot. Pretty routine, straight right to left shot. There is a road out of bounds behind it and some treacherous woods to the left. After the front nine, we are sitting at even for CD, +1 for Kevin, +4 for Mark and Eddie. CD throws that a little bit tight along that left side, but still manages to squeak his way out open, so he will have a putt. Now we're getting into this backside where the wind is really going to take notice. Again, 40-mile-an-hour gust. You can see the trees, those leaves right there. Doesn't seem to affect Kevin too much right there. He's going to definitely leave himself a putt. Mark coming in a little bit fast, getting that hard ground skip to the left into the tree line. Eddie's following suit with Mark. Let's see if he gets the skip or not. And he does. Well, he doesn't get the skip, but he kind of goes in at the base. CD just doing that safe flick shot. Just going to try to get himself a par and move on. Currently leading this group by 1 stroke. Kevin taking the par. Looks like a card full of pars on hole 10. There's nothing wrong with going pars across the board there. Hole 11 is a par 4, 483-foot shot that starts to climb up a hill very fast. The basket is up against a fence that is OB if you find yourself over it. There's also an OB along the right side of the road. This hole is averaging even as a par 4. So for everybody in MP50, 4 seems to be the accurate par for this. We're getting to the open. You can see kind of there the wind's knocking that down a little bit. CD behind the pad was definitely noticing it. Even though this plays 483, it's probably playing more like 550 with that uphill. And Eddie with the crush. Definitely putting a lot of body into that throw. Even there you can see the wind kind of drop that down a little bit. You can see the flag on top of the basket whipping around. So that wind is going crazy up there. You can see CD throwing. He's trying to get that disc to come in and the wind just doesn't want to allow it. It's keeping it straight. Sometimes it doesn't matter what kind of overstable disc you're throwing in these wind conditions. It will not act as overstable as you want it to. Kevin going a tad deep. Like I said, there is a fence right there. You can see along that tree line. The fence can act as a nice backdrop, which Mark found it there. You can go over it, which is out of bounds, but if you hit it, then you get your relief off of it as well, since it is OB behind it, which will put you a little bit closer to the basket. And all 4 put it up within putting range, but you can see this putt and the wind just blowing at CD, and it just sails over the top. He knew it right out of his hand. Left side, definitely not the way he drew it up, and dirty. See that again. Look at Eddie's face, disgusted. That was dirty. That's the only word for that. Center, that wind just pulled it straight back. Kevin taking the birdie. And almost falling forward, but holding his balance there for Mark, and he's going to take the birdie as well, put him at 3. CD's going to take the double bogey there, putting him to +1. Here we are, hole 12 is a par 3, 492 foot. There is OB along the road, and it plays around this damn reservoir. It's pretty much a straight right to left, but it does take a crush. You want to put yourself in a position as close to that corner as possible to give you an up and down shot. If you're short, you're going to have to bend back around that reservoir, and you don't want to be long, especially to the right, because that OB, and then there's a downward slope to the road, which cause that disc to roll. But these guys look like professionals. And Eddie again with the crush, putting his body behind that throw. CD throwing smooth, throwing that blizzard plastic. Doesn't take a lot of energy, and he still gets the distance that he needs. Boom! Big birdie putt for Eddie. After the dirty spit back on 11, he gets a little redemption on the downtown putt on hole 12. And Kevin definitely feeling that low center face mask. He's going to end up walking away with a bogey. Mark knocking down the par, staying at +3. Kevin's going to drop himself back to +1. Big birdie putt for Eddie. +1, +1, +3, +3. As we go into hole 13, long par 3, 487. Road along the right. This is just, again, a big crush, but this is probably the most open shot of all the shots on the course. You definitely want to try to get it as far as you can, so you don't have to deal with the wind in the second shot without flipping it over. And you see Eddie here, he flips this a little bit, or quite a bit, but luckily, looks like he catches that tree and drops. Might have saved him from going out of bounds. I can't tell if it was coming back in, but either way, I'm certain he didn't want to be over on that side. But again, just landing in the middle is where ultimately you want to be. Just like that, Mark, textbook showing us how to put it exactly where we want it in this fairway. CD following suit with Mark, putting it right there in the middle. See a little bit of drop there again once throwing into that wind. Kevin throwing it high, losing a little bit there in the camera, but the end result's about the same as CD and Mark, landing in the middle. That wind is helping it stall, really not doing a lot. Again, just a wide open second shot. Kevin coming up short and a little bit left of the basket. Eddie also coming up a little short. When you're putting into this kind of wind, you really don't want to leave yourself much distance at all. Doesn't take much to get a kickback or a lift. Also makes you have to adjust your putt a little bit just to try to keep your routine. And then you putt too hard or too fast, it'll change all of that. Great up and down by Mark. Kevin in with the par. And Eddie on a roller coaster. Dirty putt, big birdie, and just the slap out there on the top of the basket. CD and Mark. CD got the par. And Mark gets the par as well. +1s, +3, +5. A double bogey there by Eddie on hole 13. Hole 14's par 3, 320 foot. One of the easier holes on the course. The basket's straight with a slight left or right, sitting right underneath this massive tree. There is OB to the far right along that road if you carry over there, but it's a pretty bad shot. You definitely let one get away from you if you get over there. The goal is to do exactly what Mark just did, just to kind of either cut in front of that tree or straight behind that tree. But you'd be surprised that big cottonwood, I think it's a cottonwood tree, how much it will get in the way. This hole plays about a .14 over par on average for this group. See all of these guys hitting the tree, which is funny, .14 over. We're on hole 14. I don't know if anybody finds that funny, just me. And all three guys hitting that cottonwood. Big turnover putt by Kevin, trying to give it a chance. Eddie hitting that side of that face mask. All three looked almost exactly the same. And a little bit low for Mark with that birdie putt. They're going to have to settle for pars. In this wind, par is not bad at all. Everybody will stay the same at +1s, +3, and a +5 as we go into hole 15. 15's a par 3, 360 foot shot with trouble on both sides and a narrowing fairway as you get closer to the green. There's OB on the right, that reservoir fence on the left, and you can see that sloping green to the road right next to the basket. This hole is averaging a .64 over par, so almost a little over half a stroke over par. And Kevin gets that, or Mark gets that turned over out of bounds. I don't know if he held on to it or just expected it to fade out more, but it did not. He landed over the road. It's going to cost him a stroke. CD is slow and smooth, throwing to the right along that road and just getting it to fade in and off the road. Beautiful skip. Utilize everything you can around you to help you. CD did exactly that. Kevin's got a good line, but with that height, that wind's going to help pull it over. It's going to put him to the top of that hill, closer to the fence, which is going to give him a scarier death putt style putt to try to get the two. Good shot by Eddie. Just playing that right side. Plenty safe. Mark with a beautiful up and down. Kevin with that downhill death putt. Got a little bit of a roll away, but he'll be fine. Eddie drops that in for par. And CD with the distraction above him still gets the birdie too. Fun fact, CD was the only two within the MP50 division for the entire day on hole 15. It was the solo birdie. Mark's going to knock out the bogey. Kevin's going to take his putt, even though it's high. In is in. He's going to walk away. One birdie, one bogey, two pars. Even +1, +4, +5. as we go into hole 16, the Deadly Island hole, par 4, 750 feet. OB on the left and the right, and you have the island up top. There is no drop zone. All you got to do is at least cross over to play over to the island, but there's definitely a lot of OB to contend with here. CD with the big turnover, and the wind just kills it. You can see that just drop. Look at that, gliding, and just dive bomb. Kevin releasing that a hair early, not enough turnover on it. It's going to get that big left fade to the end. It's going to take him all the way to the bottom of the hill. He is going to stay in bounds. Eddie getting the turnover, but luckily it dives fast enough, has enough right edge that it keeps him in bounds. And downtown, Marky Brown with the huge bomb. Look at that. That is a thing of beauty. CD with second shot and holds onto that and throws it out of bounds with a little bit of a grip lock there. Eddie's just playing safe down to the bottom of the hill. Right on the edge, but he is safe. Kevin gets that disc up a little nose up. He knows it right away as he doesn't quite make it to the island and fades out of bounds. I don't know if he was going for it or laying up, but I know he wasn't intending to go out of bounds. CD not wanting to cost himself any more strokes, just going to lay up for the easy cross for the island. And Mark with the downtown shot throws it up high. He does cross the corner of the island though, so he will be playing from the island for his next shot, but he does go out of bounds. Mr. Bowen Siders there all weekend, spotting everybody, officiating. Think of all our volunteers who came up for the Kansas City Wide Open. Jerry Patterson, Mike Kruger is the main tournament directors for one of the largest C tiers in PDGA history at around 380 something players. Bunch of great upshots from off the island to the island. These guys are just trying to get this hole over with. There's a few too many red spots on those scorecards for their liking. Great shot by CD. Mark centered on, just low. It's a tough putt. He was pretty far downhill, and Kevin knocks in the long bogey. Got a handful of bogeys and one double bogey for CD. +2, +2, +5, +6 as we go into hole 17. Hole 17 is a par 3, 390-foot shot. Straight on, there is road on the left and danger on the right. Just as you get over the crest of this hill, the basket drops down pretty extreme to the bottom cove, which right behind it is nasty as well. Kevin getting knocked down and hitting the little baby tree. It's going to be a very tough shot. Those are great drives, but if you are not down in that little gully, little hole, whatever you want to call it, your second shot is kind of scary. You can go for it, but if you miss, you're going to probably cost yourself a stroke. go for a little bit of glory. Otherwise, more than likely, you're just going to end up laying up underneath the basket. CD getting some height on that, and once again, just that wind just killing it. Just dropping it straight down. Great up and down by Kevin. That's what I was talking about. See, he can go for it, but just a smart shot is just going to be the layup down there on the ground. As much as they want to go for it, still only round one. They don't want to cost themselves everything just yet. Kevin with the tester, slide uphill, no problem. Knocks that down. Almost a little bit of recoil there for CD. And Eddie and Mark are going to knock these out for pars. Par frame across the board. A couple plus 2s, plus 5, plus 6. So we go into the final hole of round 1 for this MP50 division. Hole 18, par 4. 432-foot shot. Plays as one of the easier par 4s. You have to go through this gap, make over the valley, over those rocks. So you want to land right here somewhere in the fairway to leave yourself an up and down shot just to get to the basket. The second shot is well guarded by the trees. The drone kind of took us the long way around, but you would go through the trees, which we will see here soon. Kevin throwing it a little bit low, skipping up through those rocks, but he's sitting in an okay, decent position, so it's not horrible at all. Eddie getting that solo branch, knock him straight down. If you are in that gully or in that little valley, it's more than likely going to cost you a stroke, and Mark's going to find out as well as he gets kicked down into the trees. And CD with the boom, perfect left or right turn. He is happy with that. That is going a long ways. When you throw shots like that, it makes it a lot easier to get up and down and get that chance for that birdie. Big roller for Eddie. Beautiful out. See Mark in the fix. It's not easy positioning where he's at. Just tries to toss out, gets rejected by those rocks. And you can see all those trees I was talking about you have to go through that Mark just found. Kevin not finding any trees, hitting the gap perfectly, going a hair bit deep. It's going to give him a tester putt at the end, but Kevin is more than capable. Eddie catching the last tree again. CD, very smooth upshot. Like I said, when you're that close, you still got to get around those trees, but it makes it a lot easier. He should walk away with the tap in 3, or tap in 3 for the birdie. Mark centering, hitting that pole, just needs about a foot, 2 feet higher, and that would have been in. And speaking of in, Eddie goes in. I don't know, I was trying to find something more exciting to say there, but it's still exciting. Eddie got the huge putt. He needed that to finish out strong. And big putt by Kevin. Birdie, birdie. To go to +1. CD's +1. Mark's going to take the bogey 5 to put him at +6. And Eddie finishing with the par to stay at +6. End of 18 holes, round 1. CD and Kevin are tied for first. Mark and Eddie tied for 6th. Unofficial ratings 986 and 942. Thank you for watching round 1 of the MP50 division of the Kansas City Wide Open. Make sure you share, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. Like it. Until next time, We'll see you around.